Women podcast. For your career and your life, no matter what business you're in.
Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of the Northern Power Women podcast. I'm Sam Walker. She is Simone Roche. We are both bristling with excitement and anticipation. Can't believe it's only a week, Simone, till the Northern Power Women Awards. Oh.
I am so excited. The trophies have arrived. The wonderful Gemma Truman delivered her beautiful artworks to the Northern Power Women HQ. Fantastic. And then subsequently had to run Northern Power Man Up to Me where we had a flat tire. But that's a whole other thing. Trophies meet flat tire. That was a whole socially distanced handover of artwork. But yeah, I know, really exciting. Yeah, like you say, only a week to go. So much noise and joy on social medias. Please keep the conversation going. And also only a week away from NPWLive. Can you believe how many videos that we've had? Guess.
Okay, so these are fantastic 3-minute videos, kind of TED Talk style videos sharing stories of resilience and inspiration and challenge and how you're being heard. 70?
Double it.
No way. Wow. 140 videos.
Actually, just over. Yeah. So 144 at time of recording. So yeah, really excited and totally, just brings to life that whole everything that we're about, amplifying voices, unearthing new people with new opinions. And so this is really exciting and totally lends and blends into the BeHeard campaign that we launched on this very podcast last August. Can you believe that?
I can't believe it's so long. I can't believe it's nearly a year since we started doing weekly podcasts. It just shows how time has flown. Do you know what someone said to me this week that really made me laugh? I'm involved in a podcast here in the United States all about being a new mum and what it's like being home with a newborn when you get home from hospital or your birthing centre or wherever and go, there's a human in my house. Oh gosh, what do I do now? And look after it. And that kind of moment of overwhelm that we all have as new mothers. And someone said to me, we were talking about what it's like when you're on maternity leave and how the day can sort of stretch out, the yawning chasm in front of you. I mean, if you're in a relationship and your partner goes off to work at 7:30, you've then got till sort of 6:30 in the evening quite often, just what do I do now? Bath the baby, feed the baby, clean up some sick, and it can be this kind of really long stretch. And someone said, because even kind of going to the supermarket to buy some margarine can suddenly become the highlight of your day because it's actually really challenging. And then someone else popped up and went, a global pandemic is like being on an extended maternity leave where you get dead excited about, I've got to go to the shop and buy some margarine. This is a good day. Leaving the house becomes this huge event. And I thought, this is spot on. This is what we're all living through, an extended maternity leave.
Well, do you know what was really funny last week when we doing the transfer of the trophies and we had the flat tire, was this random act of kindness that also happened. Like you say, the excitement of, being able to, buy someone else another cup of coffee in a coffee shop and just little things. And, do you want to use, I've got a spare return ticket here.
Yes.
Whatever it may be, we've not been able to do that. This young guy came up to Rob and started asking him, did he want any help? The next minute he's bringing out his electric tire pump and all this kind of stuff. And, it was just that. So I am going to give a shout out to Nair. He's over here. He's studying engineering at the University of Liverpool. He's over here with his wife. He just popped out to collect his little one from nursery. But he gave the time and he was thanking us for allowing him to help him. So I think just a massive, you just don't see that. Or actually, no, telling that, we're not seeing it, are we? We're not getting out there to witness that. So yeah, all of that. I don't know how we quite got flat tire, random act of kindness and margin there, but we did well to kind of cover those bases.
This is the Northern Power Women podcast, Simone. This is this is the first time anyone's listening. This is how we roll. We can cover anything off from global pandemics to margarine via flat tires. This is just what we do. Now, I would like to say that because the Northern Power Women Awards and NPWLive is happening in 1 week's time, coinciding, of course, with International Women's Day on March 8th, you're probably lying around painting your toenails and having a spray tan. But however, I know you, Simone Roche, so I know that probably well, I know for a fact, you've got 86,000 other things on your plate. And it's kind of there's been a big networking and mentoring push that's been happening over the last few months. And there's kind of the next stage of all this going on. Tell me about Coffee and Connect.
Oh, yeah, brilliant. We had a Coffee and Connect event. You may recall, if you are a previous listeners, if not, catch up. Liverpool John Moores University, we had 240 students from the business school as part of a carousel networking. So a speed dating with business entrepreneurs, innovators, thought leaders, if you like. And again, the whole premise of it is encouraging people, as we always do, to pay it forward and be generous with their time, passing on their skills. So this was the next phase with our brilliant partners, BNY Mellon, Bank of New York Mellon, who wanted to sort of take it onto the kind of more in-depth conversation, because that's always the feedback. It's great, loved all the conversation, just wanted to chat more, and so after that sort of bite-sized session, this was kind of a more a down and deeper. So we had sort of 6 of their senior leaders within the business engaged with a couple of dozen of the university students, and they're in their 3rd year. And it's interesting to hear, what they're talking about, because they're in their 3rd year, they're getting ready to graduate, as well. So this was almost that, I love it, but this real connectivity and seeing the enthusiasm on both sides, the sides of the leaders and the business folk, and the sides of the students who kind of almost can see even more confident as well, sort of open to asking the questions, wanting to ask conversations. And I think, and equally the business folks saying, ask us, keep the conversation going. So for us, as one of the mantras of paying it forward and keeping the conversation going, the Carousel Connect events, the Carousel Coffee Break networking, the mentoring, which again, we're doing on NPWLive, has been so massively impactful. So we've still got limited spaces to get involved. So if you are at the early parts of your career or know someone who is, more importantly, because we don't always like to ask for help, please go to the Northern Power Women website, check out the NPWLive page and get people to sign up if they're at that early, the first 5 years or so where you just want to ask some questions about what's next. We've still got some spaces for that. But yeah, really, really excited.
northernpowerwomen.com, do it. I want to give my teeth to have someone to help me try and navigate those first tricky years of career. And actually know that it's okay if you want to completely pivot. That's another thing we see a lot. And I know that there's been a lot of feedback from the life lesson we had recently from one individual, and she worked in fashion retail for years and then went to work in telecommunications. That's good. Transferable skills are a big thing, and especially in the world we're living in right now, where perhaps the industry that you've got your experience in is either suffering a huge downturn or maybe doesn't exist anymore. This is another thing that happens with the ever-changing world. Doesn't mean your career is going to go kaput. There are fantastic transferable skills, and it's just a case of connecting with the right people who can help you really see what those are.
Absolutely. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And, we always ask for feedback as well. And, it's definitely the feedback it always comes first from the businesses. I'm like, keep them coming. When can we do the next one? We've got a whole load of people. So rest assured, if you're at the start of your career or you're studying or you're really working out what on earth you want to do, you're still in it, please, rest assured there are people out there that want to help and support. So that's the thing that gives the spring of my step at the moment as we are in this final countdown to NPWLive. Let's keep us all connected.
Do you know, last week we were talking about this, and it has been made worse by the pandemic, but we were all probably a little bit guilty of it. And that's sending that quick email for work at 10 p.m. just before we go to bed. Or, I've done it where I've woken up in the middle of the night and thought, I must just remember to do that. And you send the email at 3 a.m. And actually, it can be really triggering for someone to get a work email at 10 o'clock at night, or even if you say, I work flexible hours, please ignore this, it's kind of in your head, isn't it? And we're having trouble escaping work at all at the moment. We did a poll for Northern Power Women. What were the results, Simone?
Yeah, so we asked about, would you contact, a team member, a subordinate after hours? And it was 48.5% said, yes, I would, but not expect a response until the following workday. 28 say, yes, but I would expect a response within a few hours. And I thought that was really interesting. Gosh. 17, no, I would wait till the following workday. And 5, yes, customer demand necessitates contacting employees at all hours. And then we also asked, through what method would should you contact your employee after hours? Because we talked about that last week. 76% email, 76% text message, that was equal. Phone call, and then going down the list, chat software, social media message, or other. But as the saying goes, what statistics reveal is interesting, what they conceal is vital.
Well, quite. And I think, gosh, that, so few people, a really small number there, said they wouldn't contact someone after hours. And I think this is the kind of the danger zone of the world we're getting into, where it does seem normal. And I'm super aware as well that I'm in a different time zone here. So I still do a lot of work with a lot of people in England. Here I am either 7 or 8 hours behind England. And I was doing some, catching up on some admin last night at 10 o'clock at night in front of my computer, sending emails. And I thought, oh my gosh, these are going to rock up at 5 a.m. and people are going to, you always worry it's going to disturb someone. But then I always very, very much hope that people are super aware of the do not disturb function on their phone, because mine goes on at 11 o'clock every night and doesn't come on until 7 in the morning, despite the fact that, I hate to admit it, I'm quite often in my desk during those hours. But it means that if someone pings me, it's not going to disturb me. So I really, really hope everyone is a big friend of their do not disturb on their phone, because otherwise, oh my gosh, you're going to be constantly on, aren't you? But that's very interesting, those results. We should put those in the show notes, actually, of the episode, so that, you can go and have a little look. Look in the episode copy now of this episode, and you can have a look at those figures in a bit more detail, because I think that is very revealing.
Indeed it is, indeed.
Okay, before we get on to life lessons, Simone, I wanted to share a story with you from a conversation I had this week. I'm working with a new client on building a podcast, and they are a business owner, very successful business owner. It's kind of quite a high stakes financial world type job that they have. So we're talking dealing with very, very high level executives. They are a very high level executive. It's in this sort of, top corporate world. They've set this business up. It's being very successful for them. And they contacted me about creating a podcast for them. And this person's a man. And what really struck me was how honest they were with me really early on in our conversation, when I was asking about what the podcast was, what the purpose was, why they wanted to create it, all these questions you ask when you're talking about setting up a new kind of piece of, in a way, content marketing for your business. And they turned around and said, shared a lot with me about the method and the values and the purpose behind it, and said, do you know what? I've been wanting to do this for about a year, but I've had massive, massive imposter syndrome. I really wanted to share that, because I know that we talk about how even that person up on the stage at the conference is probably thinking, oh no, what am I doing here? And we all look at them and go, oh, aren't they capable and confident? But the fact that this was a man, and I know we often talk to women on this podcast, and we often talk about how we all feel that imposter syndrome. For him to be working in this high stakes world, incredibly successful in what he does, and sharing that vulnerability with me after just, sort of 20 minutes or so of talking, that they actually really suffered from this. I just wanted to share that. Again, if anyone's having a week this week where they're thinking, oh man alive, what am I doing at this table? I shouldn't be here. You should. And really, again, everyone else is feeling this.
Everyone feels it. No one's unique about this. Interestingly enough, had another shout out for sort of media representation this week. There's a few people based on the topic subject it was about. It's about more women on boards. Yeah. And I reached out and again had to dig down deep and go round three times. And it's really, really interesting. Hence, even more importantly, while BeHeard is going to be something I think that's very important. This database that we're building to better balance events and media. So that we're launching that on International Women's Day. So please do sign up for that, because it is important to have your voice heard. We're always going to have the imposter syndrome, but actually the more that we do, the less uncomfortable it feels.
It really is that first person on the dance floor feeling. When that dance floor's empty, no one wants to stick their little kitten-heeled toe over the threshold, do they?
Depends how many sherries they've had, to be honest.
You've never had a problem with getting on that dance floor, Simone. But, once we're on it and we're all together, it's fantastic. So I know it's horrible, and it took me years of broadcasting every single day not to feel that before the microphone went live. So I know what it feels like, but just do it anyway, because there are plenty of people out there who don't have that fear and that lack of confidence, who've got a lot less to say than you have. So get out there, do it. power-platform.com as well. Find out more about BeHeard. I love it. Right, let's get some life lessons going, Simone.
This week we've got Danie French. She works for Taylor Wessing as a responsible business advisor, and she's worked and lived in the Northwest for just over 2 years. She's a massive supporter of Future First, who are one of our partners on the carousel networking event that we've got on NPWLive, and they're all about role models in state schools. But Danie, a massive advocate for them. Here's her life lessons.
I'm Danie French. I'm a responsible business advisor at Taylor Wessing. Tell us about an important role model in your life. For me, I would say Princess Diana. I love the way she used her status to promote charities and giving back to communities. What's the one piece of advice that had really stuck with you? I would say during an interview process, people always think it's a one-sided situation, but actually you're interviewing the employer as much as they're interviewing you. What advice would you pass on to someone starting their career today? No one is perfect. That's why there's a rubber on the end of a pencil. We all make mistakes, acknowledge them and learn from them. Tell us about a time you had to be resilient. I would say in the last year, I've had to be resilient during the pandemic. I had to support our people's well-being along with my own well-being, which was really tough at times. What difference did having a mentor make to you? The difference my mentor had on me was they made me believe in myself, they helped my confidence, along with being a great role model, which is what I really needed.
Thank you so much to Danie. I love that. I always forget that, when you're doing an interview or having an interview, you're finding out as much about them as they are about you. And that's a really good way of kind of quelling any nerves as well in any interview situation, isn't it? Or if you're pitching to a client, think, hang on, I'm pitching to see if you're worthy of me working for you as much as I want your business.
I agree. It's all about the fit. And I love the piece of advice that no one is perfect. That's why there's a rubber and on the end of a pencil. We all make mistakes, acknowledge them and learn from them. I used to love rubbers on the end of pencils. I used to love that. They were the ones, and you didn't want to use them because they were too nice to use. And lo and behold, someone used the rubber. Anyway, that's probably disclosing too much. Don't unfriend me out there, please.
Now, look, we've mentioned that this time next week, it is, of course, our fantastic Northern Power Women Awards. It's NPWLive, but that doesn't mean there's not going to be a podcast. We are going to have a very special celebratory episode featuring some of these brilliant, inspirational stories from our Northern Power Women networks. These little short snippets, videos that you will be able to find on the Northern Power Women website, of course, moving forward. But we wanted to share some of our favourites with you. So don't think there's not going to be a pod this time next week. There is. Make sure you tune in. Before we disappear off into the sunset, Simone, I wanted to share something with you, which I just absolutely loved. Now, we know that women still take their share of domestic duties, even if women, and if you're in a relationship with a man, it's the way that it goes, whether it's societal pressure, whatever it might be, we still know that women take on more, generally, that burden of domestic life than men, even if they both work an equal amount of time. This is a bit of a game changer. In China, during a divorce hearing last week, a judge has ordered a man to pay his ex-wife nearly $8,000 for housework over their 5-year marriage. Now, you might say, well, $8,000 over 5 years isn't very much of a salary. It's not. But this is a landmark case. This has never been the case before where it's an ex-spouse has been actually ordered by the court to pay that spouse for the work they've done within the home. This is a game changer, right?
Oh my goodness. Wow. I don't know about you, but I'm just suddenly counting up in my head. Cooking.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Emergency Christmas cards, all of the personal cards, just saying all of that. I'm going to start a tally. That is unbelievable. You wonder what will happen. That is absolutely a gate open there, isn't there? So watch this space on that. But yeah, keep your tally on the side of your desk.
Every time you wipe down that cooker top, there's a $5. I'm just going to do the hoovering. There's a $10. I mean, we jest, but actually we need to move towards a bit more equality within the home. But I thought, how fascinating. So, yeah, judge in China
tip jar.
ordered.
It is a tip jar.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Right, happy days. Look, thank you so much for listening. The next Northern Power Women podcast will, of course, be coming to you, as we said, Monday, March the 8th, a very special International Women's Day celebration episode. We really hope you're joining us for the Northern Power Women Awards and NPWLive. You've still got time to come and get involved. Get yourself online, northernpowerwomen.com, to find out all the details. You better get on with that spray tan, Simone. You've only got a week.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that's going to be the other. But the thing is, my dress doesn't actually have to do up at the back, so that's my only saving grace.
Oh, we're talking safety pin gate again, are we? Yeah. Just in case you missed it, the last in-person awards in 2019, I literally, as I was walking up the steps to the stage, the zip broke on the back of my dress. So I was accessorised with safety pins for the entire award. I just had to own it. I was like, what am I going to do? So there you go.
It worked for Elizabeth Hurley, didn't it?
It did. I'm going to wear safety pins anyway on Monday, just for the heck of it, as a little accessory. Thank you so much for listening. We do hope you will join us. I'm Sam Walker. She is Simone Roche. And the Northern Power Women podcast is a What Goes On media production.